All right, guys, and welcome to Season 2, Episode 4 of the Midfield 4 podcast. We are back for another week. A lot to talk about this week, so we'll get straight into it. Demil is back after missing the first 3 episodes of the season, but good to have you back. How are you?
Yeah, really good, mate. Glad to be back. Had a nice holiday, but it's good to be back with the boys.
Yeah, glad to hear. Tay, how are you? Probably not so good, unfortunately.
I'm ecstatic.
I can tell. You see his face if you're watching on video. Doesn't look too pleased. Last but not least, Matt, how are you doing?
Oh, absolutely brilliant, mate. How are you?
Yeah, all good. We'll start with the main game of the weekend then. Old Trafford yesterday, Manchester United versus Liverpool. A result that shocked many, including myself. Demil, I saw you pre-game. I think my prediction was 6-0 or something like that to Liverpool. But the team selection did change a bit from both sides. I was surprised by our selection. Their team is very weak at the moment due to injuries and stuff. But I was still very surprised by the result. I'll come to you straight away, Demil. Obviously, you were at the game. What were your thoughts on our performance, first of all?
Well, where do you start? I mean, the performance was amazing in terms of the aggressiveness, the passion, the desire, something we haven't seen for about a year and a half. So that's all football fans can want from a team, regardless whether you play good football, bad football, tiki-taka, long ball. You just want to see a team fight and compete for 90 minutes right to the end. And that's what we did for the first time in I don't know how long. Like you said, me and you were pre-game at the protest, and I think when the team came out, we were, fearing the worst because, there was questions over like Alanga, McTominay, and Eriksen as a pivot again. But it worked. Maguire dropped, Ronaldo dropped, so big question marks. But credit to Ten Hag, he stuck to his guns and he produced a good result. And I think as a unit, it was one of our best games. And like I was saying, how we were so defensively tight, and previously throughout the whole past seasons and the last 2 games that we've seen, the amount of space we leave open is ridiculous for teams to just easily pass our midfield, easily get into attacks, counters, or even just from the back. And we didn't allow Liverpool once really to allow them to play their game. I thought, if I'm touching on individuals, I thought the whole back 4, but special mentions to Malacia and Martinez, they were actually exceptional. I mean, Malacia to go against Salah for his first full game in the league, absolutely amazing. He was so sound. Sure, he got caught out a couple of times, but he got the recovery pace. He got back. The amount of, and what actually more impressed me most is that how composed the back 4 were once we'd win the ball back. They didn't just hoof it long. They just tried to pass it out. I saw Malacia and Martinez combine with each other, and then Martinez passed to Eriksen, and then we got out of the situation. I thought it was, a big improvement, because previously we were just sort of hoofed that out. If that was like last season, that was Luke Shaw, Maguire, Lindelof. I feel like we just hoofed that out, and then Liverpool gained back possession, and then they can regain the attack. But yeah, I thought the whole back 4 was great. Varane as well. I think pray to God that Varane stays fit, because that partnership looks to be something great. Varane and Martins really looks like a really good partnership, and if they can build on that, and if they can stay fit, I think with Casemiro ahead of them, I think it will look a lot more defensively sound. And who else? I say Martial. He only had 45 minutes, but when he came on, he's a game changer. I feel like Martial is just our link, our glue. He just gels the whole team together. I've said it a long time. People have, cussed me or laughed at me saying how Martial's finished or he's bad or whatever. Just look at 45 minutes. Look at pre-season. I mean, the way that we play with Martial in the team, streets ahead to what we'd play with, I don't know, Rashford up front or Ronaldo up front. Like, you've got to be honest, it's not the same. He just links everything so well. His hold-up play is immaculate. I mean, going up against Van Dijk, question marks on Van Dijk, that performance, but, Martial did amazing that game. Taylor shaking his head. But yeah, I feel like he did amazing. Credit to him. I pray that he stays fit as well, because we desperately need him. And second half, Rashford, you got to give his credit. I thought he really turned it up. He got his goal, which was a really well taken goal, because I saw the replay back on it. Alisson closed the angle really well. He really did. So for Rashford to find a corner and to finish it how he did was really impressive, and I really hope that's a kickstart of his career, I guess, because it's been stagnant at times. But you saw how much that goal meant to him, the celebration. Overall, I'm really happy, but it's not just being be all and end all. We have to progress now. We have to continue the form. Southampton, nothing more than a win is what we need. Leicester, nothing more than a win, and then 3 wins on the bounce, and we take it to Arsenal, see what happens, or Arsenal come to us and see what happens. But overall, that's a good night for me. I don't know if you have anything to add.
Yeah, I think you covered most things. Just wanted to say the effort and the desire, passion, that's what impressed me the most. Like, these are the same players that pretty much threw the towel in at Brentford, and I've always said, I've banged it into high heavens, that all we can ask for as a team is them to put in 100% and make us proud. And United have given me a lot of emotions over the last 18 months, and pride has not been one that's come up very often, but I really did feel proud of the team yesterday. And it was a brilliant performance, and like I said, tactically brilliant, mentally they were brilliant. But obviously the big picture is still there. This is still the same group that put in probably the worst performance I've ever seen from a United side in my lifetime against Brentford in the first half. It's still the same players, and they've still got a tendency to throw in the towel and give up. So yes, they were brilliant last night, and that's easy to do when you're in front of a packed Old Trafford. The stadium was absolutely rocking against your biggest rivals. They've got to carry it on. If we go 1-0 down on Saturday, what's going to happen then? Are they going to play the same? So we'll see. So you've got to remember the bigger picture. Obviously, we haven't got time to talk about Casemiro, but that's a great addition. But very much a panic buy, which leads me on to the big picture, which should not go away. The protest before the game was fantastic. All the movements on social media have been good, and it's great to see some actual interest in the club from some serious buyers. So it feels like we are getting somewhere, and every fan needs to do everything they can to keep the pressure on the owners, not forget about it because we've got a really good result yesterday. That's not what needs to happen. We need to keep it going. Everything that 1958 are doing with the protest is brilliant. Yesterday's was absolutely huge, and it shows what the fan base can really do when they all combine together, and it was great to be a part of. So yeah, a great day on the whole, but long story short, we need to remember the bigger picture. But yeah, great for us. Finally, we've got something to cheer for this season, and you've come back at the right time, Demille. Tay, I'll come to you then. We were aided by a very, very poor Liverpool performance, and if you're not watching, I'd recommend heading over to YouTube just to see some of Tay's facial expressions during that conversation then. But yeah, we were aided by a very, very poor Liverpool performance. And again, it's a case of probably not just what happened on the night, but the big picture at the club at the minute. So I'm sure we've got a lot to say, so I'll come to you now.
You lot have been waiting for this. You've been waiting for this day since we started the podcast. And I'm going to be totally honest, I'm going to try my best to keep a calm head, because I feel like I haven't talked about it to anyone, because I couldn't even see. Honestly, as soon as that final whistle went, I couldn't see. I had to lay down. It was just bloodshot eyes. I don't know how to describe it, because, like I say, I'm going to try to stay very calm about it. You can hear me. My voice is going. I'm tearing up already. No, it's still very much an open wound. And this is the most embarrassed I've ever been by a Liverpool team. Before I start, because I'm going to get quite a few things across. This is no discredit to United. They wanted it more today. They were the better team. They set up better, tactically better. Fans were better. Right. Yeah. I mean, go to Old Trafford after not winning your first 2 games of the season against winnable teams. I don't know where to start with it. I've seen it coming, and I know I'm not the only one that's seen this coming. I've said, and I'm actually going to go back on what I've said. I'm not sure about us signing just a random midfielder. We need help. Like, we're in dire need of help, and I'm not going to put this on FSG. I'm going to give them benefit of the doubt here, because I do believe this is stubbornness between everyone at the club, and I don't know who we think we are. We think we're Real Madrid, and we're really not. You know, I'm not going to discredit what we have won with Jurgen Klopp, because there's nothing short of sensational. Like, he's been the second best coach, arguably, in the world over the past few years, but it's not. The stubbornness has got to go, man. You can't look at the squad yesterday and blame that on injuries. Every team has injury. Every single team has injuries. Look at, it sounds stupid, but Leicester have got more injuries than us. They have. Like, this is stuff you need to prepare for. And as a club who wants to be, fighting on all fronts, playing another 60 games a season, why is this okay? But no Jota, no Thiago. And in fairness, our squad is an absolute dire. Like, we've lost. We had 2 goalkeepers on the bench on game week 3. Game week 3. That is ludicrous. No attackers on the bench. No attackers on the bench. No attackers on the bench. Right. Game week 3. I can't believe it. There's just before I get onto the players' performances, let me just run through the squad really quickly, because I could go on for hours. I'll try to clear it up. So, we put in a backup right back that doesn't exist, and I'll get.
A good point. I haven't actually seen him.
I'm convinced he does not exist. Like, our centre back issue, it's halting a lot of things. I don't think we've got a depth issue at centre back, but hosting a pre-season friendly, a day after the Community Shield, charging £27 a ticket in today's climate to watch Kanate's knee explode, was absolutely another sensational move by the club. Again, don't know who we think we are, which we lost as well. We lost that game, but that's fine. Getting on, and then don't even get me started on the midfield. Strikers don't really have an issue with. I think when Shorter gets back, we will look a bit better, but we've got no dynamic at the minute. Diaz and Salah are playing as touchline wingers, which I don't know what Klopp's thinking, because Firmino can't do that job that he used to do. He shouldn't even be on the pitch, to be honest. He wouldn't look out of place at Oxford, but we'll get onto that. Midfield, stuck with his guns, went with Henderson. I would have done the same thing, but if I was in charge, Henderson wouldn't be at the club. So there we go. He's not good, and I feel like we try to address these issues, Liverpool fans, and people don't really deep them until we play like a big game on that's televised. And I feel like that's where everyone sort of wakes up and go, "Wow, Liverpool got nothing." James Milner. Like, I saw something from a game from 2000 and I think it was 18 or 19 away to Leicester, and there were two different players, Wijnaldum and Mane, which both chose to leave. Guarantee if they were here, they would have played, and fair play, because we need something. There was no real bright sparks yesterday. I thought Elliott tried. He wasn't good, but he tried. Thought Milner was dreadful, but he tried, and he gave Van Dijk a talking to, which no one else seems to do, because I don't know why. He's so he does. He's like, I saw someone saying he uses his sauvage to put Sancho off. Like, he's so nonchalant. It's ridiculous. I thought Gomez was okay actually, and Alisson was all right. I feel bad for people like Luis Diaz, because he didn't have a good game yesterday, and I'm not necessarily his biggest fan, but he just tries and tries and tries and tries, and you can't fault him for that. But sorry, I probably tried to cover about 20 bases.
But can I just ask quickly, right? Go on. Just mentioned Van Dijk. Are you actually worried about him?
No, not worried about him. I still think he's a top defender. Obviously, I think he has lost a bit, but I don't feel like the fact that we're exposed to about 15 threatening counter-attacks a game helps us whatsoever.
But you buy into this stuff of him, like because that's twice it's happened now already this season, where he's like backed off and not put a foot in. Do you actually think he's like buying into the narrative that he's like so Rolls Royce he can't put a foot in?
No. Because there was one earlier in the game where I believe it was Rashford. It's a similar situation to Zaha, came across him perfectly. I don't think that is a situation. I think it happens so quickly, and I think sometimes he tries to overread the game. But when you're left to one-on-one 3 times a game, how is that happening? We've conceded that goal we conceded was Rashford's goal was almost the same as Zaha's. How is that happening?
I feel so sorry for Alisson.
He's literally our best player.
I mean, it happened last season, isn't it? How many times Alisson was exposed one-on-one, and then how many times he saved you?
I promise you,
save against Martial, yesterday. The save, the amount of times he sweeps against
The Ericsson
Rashford,
free kick as well.
Ericsson, like he was your best player by an absolute mile.
Yeah, with no disrespect to top goalkeepers, who I can't be bothered to name them, but I do believe Alisson is the best goalkeeper in the world, and I feel like if we had any other goalkeeper last year, we don't come close to City, and I feel like that's become apparent. But now we're not scoring goals as well. It looks a lot worse. I'm sorry, I don't know where I'm going with it. I'm feeling. I don't know why I'm voting for it. If I could just run through our midfield options quickly, because we had some more news today. So we have one number 6. As you saw from yesterday, I don't care. Henderson's not number 6. Henderson on the second goal, the touch he brought down and then chased and then just stopped running. Oh my God. Like that you can't do that. You can't do that. That's our club captain. Didn't speak to the media, by the way. No, never does. Never does after a loss. Honestly, I love him, but he's pathetic. He's a waste of time. You got Fabinho, who again I feel sorry for. Clearly is a good player, but hasn't been himself for about a year. No idea what's going on there. I could not tell you.
I think it was
like when you think about it, where's the backup to him? Where's the backup to Thiago?
There's none.
Like,
there's
none.
Hey, do you think it was the
really
right decision? Do you think it was the right decision to drop Fabinho?
I think whatever team he put out loses, to be honest.
You can't. I was just about to say, there's never really been a backup to Fabinho since he's been at the club. You're trying to play Henderson as a 6, similar to we try and play McTominay as a 6, and it just doesn't work.
No, there's no second option. We have a nice dynamic when it works, but as soon as that, like look at every other club. Like bear in mind, it makes me sick thinking about it. We're supposed to be up there competing with City, and we look at their midfield options. Their bench starts right in our midfield. Like their backup, they got Calvin Phillips. I'm not asking us to go spend 50 million, but we've had Fabinho now for 5 years, and we've never had a natural number 6 walk through the door. Never. Anyone that could play it. We're looking at the midfielders that have come to the Premier League this year. Kamara, and this isn't just number 6s. Kamara, and I know this isn't how free transfers work, but picked up on literally a free transfer. Matheus Nunes, who we are big fans of, but why aren't we sanctioning that? I don't know. I don't know. We're just stubborn. I can't even think. I can't even think. But yeah, that midfield. Then we've got Thiago,
Vieira, Adams, Roca. It's quite like Roca.
Yeah, like Mark Roca
we'll get
would
onto
be brilliant.
data, like,
Yeah, tell me, he'd be our best player on our bench yesterday. That's crazy. Like we've got Thiago, sensational. You know what you're getting with him. Everyone knows that. We knew that when we bought him. Henderson, past it. I do like him, but he's way past it. And I'm running out of options. Do you know what I mean? James Milner, I like him.
Keita.
Great professional. Well, don't even get me started on Keita, man, because he training all week. Yeah, good in training. This happens all the time, all the time, and he just collapsed in training. Apparently, whether that's true, people are saying he wants to go. I don't blame him, but he can't stay fit. Even when he does stay fit, he's good half the time. And I know that's not our fault. We invested in him and stuff, but then look who else you got. Curtis Jones injured. Elliot, I think he's decent, but I don't think this is. I don't think you can put him in 38 games of a season. Like, he's not ready for that yet. And the fact that our senior players, I feel like, and a lot of our fans are using him as a scapegoat to defend it. It's ridiculous. Anyone who watched that game knew he was our best midfielder last night. One of our better players, and that says so much. Who else even is there? Who else is there?
Well, the thing is, though,
one player who did.
Value?
Yeah, I was going to say one player who did. Honestly, I think he was your best player in the whole game in terms of
Carvalho.
Not even just impact for the goal, but I thought he just looked like a player who was really good keeping the ball. He looked direct. He looked fearless. He looked like he wanted to create something. Whereas for the rest of the 80 minutes of the game, you didn't. You looked completely toothless.
Well, yeah. I just wanted to say, like, I know I do agree with you. You shouldn't use injuries as an excuse. And obviously, if you did have more fit players, yesterday's game might have been different. But it's the same players that are always out injured.
Yeah.
Like Keita, Thiago.
Yeah. So,
Konate. You've got to cut. Like, if you're going to have these players, which is fine, but you've then got to cover for them. So when they do get injured, you've got people to cut in.
Injury-prone players get injured.
Even your centre-back situation.
On signing a midfielder, because I think now it's essential if you're going to get anywhere.
How do we do that now?
But how do we do that now?
Everyone knows we need one.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying we're penny pinchers, but we like to drive a hard bargain, which I've never had a problem with. But if you're going to do that at the start of a window.
Well, that's a similar situation to what we're
Fabian
in.
Ruiz went
People
for 50
know
million.
we need players,
Yeah.
but now that's going to all be inflated. But yeah,
But I don't get it. I don't get it, man. Like, we leave it this late. It's essential. We know we needed one. We knew this was going to happen. This is like the centre back issue that we had, but in this time we've had like a longer window to prepare for it. We've had money. We've got money. We've known we've needed a midfielder for years. Like,
You know what? I think everything around Liverpool's problems recently just comes from pure stubbornness and arrogance. Because
yeah, 100%.
exactly what Ethan said about the injury perspective. This isn't some unlucky thing of Salah getting injured, Diaz getting injured. Players, I know Nunes was unfortunate. You know, obviously we didn't record last week. That was a moment of madness, and that's unfortunate. That doesn't help you at all. But as you said, you know, Gomez has been very injury prone. Unfortunate for him. He played, to be fair, but Matip out for 3-4 weeks. Thiago's always struggled
End of
massively
October,
with availability. Keita, so it's not like a surprise. And it's what I don't understand as well, where I go into the stubbornness to point too, is I don't understand the whole thing of you're so intent on getting a Bellingham or whatever, yet you're so intent to wait till next summer, just invite more competitors. That's what you've done with Sean.
It's weird, and
He's
then
gone
we've got
round
an
the jig,
excuse.
like-
And then we have an excuse to miss out. Like, we're
It's
such a
mental.
losers club. We're such a second place club. There's no drive there, and tactically was wrong as well yesterday. Don't even get me started on that. The players were
Massively.
awful. The players were awful, but tactically so wrong. And I do feel for Klopp in a sense, because I do think he got it wrong yesterday. When you look to the bench, actually no, I don't feel sorry for him. You look to the bench, that's his decision. I know
No, but he
doesn't
plays
put
with the
players
same, like, I understand this is set way, right? But you can't play with that same arrogance of such a high line and everything. You know, what we were talking about with Van Dijk and stuff. You can't play with that such high line when you've got Henderson as a 6, Milner as a 8 or whatever. How many Premier League teams does he actually start for at this point? Probably not many.
How many
And
Football
Elliott,
League teams
very
does he
raw.
start for?
That's true, and it's just like it's such a baffling setup, and it's almost like what I thought when United played Brentford. I thought they're just setting themselves up to be screwed, really, and I felt Liverpool did the same. And to be honest, it should have been more even than 2-1. But yeah, worrying times, really.
Yeah, we should probably move on from this. I hope you guys enjoyed it, but I'm so angry. I've bottled this up, and I'm doing pretty well. I haven't started crying yet. But
Well, one question for you quickly before we move on.
yeah.
So it's been a while, in my opinion. I feel like his form has started to drop from last the end of last season. And I think you know who you're talking about. It's Salah. He hasn't started well. He didn't finish well. Are you, because everything's on him now, and players know that? Do you think? Lashley was so tight to him, he couldn't breathe, basically. Do you think that now that Salah has to adapt his game to some degree, or, you know, does he have to change something? Because he had Mane last season, who you know,
Don't start that Mane stuff.
he shared some of the you know, goals, he like targeting, so it wasn't everything on him. But now, the majority of it is on him now, especially how Nunes was out. You know, Diaz, as much as he's good, he hasn't scored that many goals. I think he scored 9 Premier League goals.
No, that's 7. No, less than that, like 5, like 3 Champions
You know what
League.
though, with Salah as well, like not
Even-
to remove blame from him, but at the same time, when Salah's thrived, obviously, you know, he's carried a poor Liverpool team a lot of the time, or underperforming Liverpool team. But when your right backs also really struggled to start the season, and your whole right hand side in general just doesn't help at all.
I kind of agree with Matt here. I do understand what you're saying to Mill. He's got a much bigger load to work with this season, and I do think the pressure is on him a bit more. But, you know, the fact he's managed to claw a goal out of that game, that is crazy.
True.
Like, he had nothing to work with yesterday. Absolutely
Firmino
nothing.
was honestly non-existent.
Firmino was non-existent. Trent was shocking. Elliott was okay. They linked up a few times in the second half. Henderson awful. Milner awful. Like, he had no one
from the
yesterday.
midfield too. Like with Liverpool, you always associate them with, not to talk too much about this, but with Liverpool, you always see them as, oh wow, they're winning all their duels, they're winning their midfield battles, they're pressing you in, they're pushing you in, they're creating chances. Sure, they cross a lot and stuff, and I do think their play style has become far too predictable now. But, and I get, that's what they've been doing for years, but you do need a bit of adaptation. But I do think, like, watching that game against United, they just completely avoided the middle and they couldn't play through the middle. They have like no outball to Salah. They have Malacia, who was genuinely superb. Like, I was so impressed with him, and I just don't think they had anything going for Salah and Firmino as well. As we spoke
I just wanted to say last thing right on Firmino. He's borderline not even Premier League quality anymore. Like, for me, he's really off it. And I know he's out of contract in the summer. I feel like if you extend that, even if he's going to be 5th choice forward or whatever,
that's the last straw. That's the last straw.
Yeah, that does sum up basically everything you've been talking about for the last 15 minutes.
It's really sad. It is really sad because he is, in my opinion, a Liverpool and Premier League legend, highest scorer in Brazilian Premier League history. Like, he's won the Champions League, Premier League, he's won it all. But he started it. He is the player. But you can look back on the tapes. People love him, but I've said this for well over a year now. As much as people love him and pretend he's not been up for it physically, and he doesn't even look technically up for it anymore. So as much as I love him, like, he needs to go, and I can't see him getting a move to another big club because who
replaces him? Like, no, because I get that's the scouting department's job, but you can't. And Nunes wasn't a replacement for him. That's more of a Mane.
Long term, obviously hoping to just slightly tweak the way they play. But yeah,
we're in a very just quickly. We're in this year. These next 2 years are going to be really weird for us because Firmino's gone. Salah's going to be 30. Henderson should be out of the picture. Milner will be out of the picture. You know, all of our players are turn 30. This is where the club really has to spend some money and build fuller because we won't have any young players that are good enough to replace them. So. But yeah, and sorry, quickly on you, Demille, as well. I do hear what you're saying, but just finally, Salah's the last player that I'm gonna point fingers at.
I'm not trying to blame Salah at all. I'm more. If I suppose that question again, I'll say, are you worried because he doesn't get any chances recently. He can't do it on his own. Basically, that's what I'm.
Yeah, I'm worried for him, but I don't think it's for him. I think it's for the team.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
we
I
hope you enjoyed that segment. It is good to record so close to the game because you do sort of still have the emotion from the game.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Well, yeah, but I've been there. I've been there many times.
True.
Last couple of months.
They dodged a bullet not recording after Brentford. To be fair.
Yeah.
I headed to the beach.
I didn't purposely not record, but it just didn't work out. But that unfortunately, you missed out on that one. People who know me will know how messy that Saturday afternoon was after the game. We're going to move on from United Liverpool. Just want to talk about a couple of teams that have started the season quite poorly. Two that we predicted were going to struggle and have struggled. One that we all predicted to do very well and hasn't done very well. So I want to talk about them mostly. But Everton and Leicester, first of all, have started the season very, very poorly. I think Leicester are 1 point from 3 and Everton are the same. Again, we all predicted Everton to be in and around the relegation spots, and I haven't seen anything that's going to show me otherwise. They got a 1-1 draw against newly promoted Forest, who have started well, but those are the games you have to win. And then they lost to a very, very poor Aston Villa side and lost to a Chelsea side who didn't play very well on the day either. So we haven't got too much time to go into them, but not many surprises there, and they're definitely going to be in a relegation battle. I mean, they're still trying to bring in players. They've just tried to hijack the move for João Pedro. I'm not sure whether they're getting very far with that. I mean, they're after Kudus from Ajax, which again is an interesting one. Not sure what's happening with the Idris Gana Gay deal either. That looked like it was going to get done, but don't know if anything's being held up.
I think they won a fee, PSG, and Everton wanted to get them on a free or something along those lines.
Very interesting. Well, I mean, they still need bodies in, but I mean, they've made some good signings already, and they probably will make more, but they are going to be well down there. I don't think anyone's going to disagree with that, but we ain't got too much time to touch on that. But same with Leicester as well. Very bad start season for them. They've still not signed anyone, I don't believe, unless I've missed some in the last couple of hours.
Fofana training with the under-23s as well. You've got Tielemans also still in jeopardy. Madison linked with moves away. It's crazy. Yeah, well,
they got one.
I thought I was hearing Madison contract extension, didn't?
I'm sure. I also saw that too.
I think that is happening, but regardless of whether he stays or not, they still need to get bodies in. And they got 1 point from 3, and that 1 point was when they were 2-0 up in the first game of the season. So worrying times. And another result to look at is they only just won on penalties tonight in the Carabao Cup against Stockport, who are a League 2 side who haven't started the season very well themselves in League 2.
The manager's lost the dressing room there, isn't he?
What, Leicester?
Yeah.
And then they
wasn't there Sky Odds actually that they've removed
got suspended,
to get
and they played a very strong team tonight as well. Like, I look at their 11; it's a very, very strong team. and they still only just got through on penalties, and they only scored. I think they won 2-1 on penalties because Stockport missed like 3 of their 4.
Yeah,
So
it was an awful looking.
I mean,
shootout.
Matt, I think you had him as low as like 15th, and we all disagreed, but that's not looking like a bad shout at the minute, unless something serious is going to turn around. Because
You know what? I don't think I did have them as low as that, but I wanted to have them as low as that. But like end of the season, I put them like 13th because you string a few wins together.
Yeah.
But they could really be down there if they don't get rid of Rodgers ASAP, which if they do, then I think that squad has a lot of potential still. And no, they've not signed anyone that's really bad, and future's in jeopardy too, but they do have a lot of quality in that team, we can't forget too. So.
then there's still a lot of them that might be out the door in the next week, and then to replace people like Tielemans and Fofana in 9 days is going to be difficult. So again, we spoke about them enough, so we'll see how it pans out. But the other one, the team rooted bottom of the league with 3 losses and no goals, the team that we all unanimously put in 7th place. West Ham have started the season very, very poorly. I mean, they had a 3-1 win against Freiburg in the Conference League in between that, but they are expected to win that. But league-wise, they've started very poor. Do you think it's cause for concern, or do you think it's just an early blip? Because obviously they've still got European kicking properly.
I think it's stubbornness, to be honest. Like, he's still persisting with the same, like, Antonio over Scamacca. I get Scamacca will starting soon enough, but I think you just need that fresh face in there. Obviously, he scored in his first game for the club as well, albeit a Europa opposition. I can't remember their name, but he's a quality player and offers something different. And I think Souček is really starting to limit them more and more too. And guys like Sufal, they're just not cut for it, or Cresswell.
He might be worse than Henderson.
Yes, Souček.
He's the worst type of midfielder. Like, hides for the ball, is like a poacher, even though he's a 6 and gets rated for that. He's not that guy at all, unfortunately.
I mean, I'm sure they will turn it around. I mean, I haven't watched much of the Brighton match, but the Nottingham Forest match, they were incredibly unlucky not to get anything from it. So
yeah,
maybe we did all put them in 7th. They're gonna have to wake up a lot if they're gonna come 7th. But I don't think they're gonna be like too worried. But slightly concerning.
I think if they don't be in any danger, I think, but
no chance.
It's concerning. I think, for the past 2-3 years, they've always been that club pushing up, challenging for Europa, Champions League, and once a club who's done that for about 3-4 years with the same kind of squad, he needs to freshen up a bit. Like it gets a bit stale at times. You're seeing that at Liverpool. It's the same example, in my opinion. The squad needs to be freshened up. I don't know if they're linked to anyone else, but in my opinion, I feel like it gets to a stage where you've reached your capacity, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing for West Ham, by the way, but I'm saying for that period of time, without players right now, I feel like they've reached the target or their limit. More in that sense. So I feel like next year, or maybe this year, January transfer market, they need to freshen things up, get some new players in the door.
Well, they have just signed Emerson as a backup, or maybe starting left back, the Chelsea Emerson. Not sure what I think about that, but Tilo Kehrer as defence backup, Maxwell Cornet, they're all good.
What was that tackle
good signings
on his debut? Not jumping, but what?
Dreadful.
To be fair to them
I
as
think
well, they were playing
Wonder, right?
Ben Johnson start of the season, I think, at centre back.
They
did address centre back big time. But
it's just important for teams like West Ham not to stagnate, because we've sort of seen it with Leicester now. They had one bad season last year and they sort of haven't recovered from it at all. So I mean, I think they've got the manager and they've got the squad to be able to stay in that sort of 7th to 10th sort of area, and they may still do, but a very concerning start season. But I mean, I'm sure they'll pick it up again in recent weeks.
To be fair, one more thing I thought I would add as well. We spoke about the Europa game. They played pretty much their full squad on Thursday night against that team, and then they've got a Sunday game against Brighton. So they're not sabotaging themselves, because obviously they need to get through these. Or is it conference? I can't even remember. Yeah, Conference League playoffs. They still need to get through them, but that's a big damper this early on in the season to have to play that midweek game, playing your full team, and then going playing against Brighton, a team you've never won against in who knows how long.
Yeah, that record's pretty mad, isn't it? Like, they haven't beat Brighton in 9 or 10 attempts, which is pretty crazy. But everyone's got that sort of team. But yeah, we'll move on to some teams that have started the season well. Again, 2 teams that we did tip to do very well this season in Brighton and Newcastle. I think the majority of us had them in our top 10s, and obviously Brighton have got the win against Manchester United. They got a draw against Newcastle, the other team we're talking about, and then another win this weekend against West Ham, and then Newcastle have got a point against Manchester City, which, we're not even going to talk about City today because there's no point pretending like it's massive for them. They didn't turn up on the day. They're going to be absolutely flying. But yeah, Newcastle were fantastic, and they got the draw against Brighton, and they won on the opening day as well against Forest. So both those teams that we tipped to start the season well have started the season well, unsurprisingly. And Newcastle look fantastic, especially. I mean, I think they're going to be a real force this season. Their performance against Manchester City was phenomenal. The likes of Kieran Trippier is absolutely massive for them, not only for the experience and leadership that he brings, but his technical ability for a fullback is just outrageous. And that is a really, really shrewd signing. And, the new boys seem to be bedding in well as well. I mean, Pope is a sensational keeper. He's going to add a lot to that back line, and Botman slotted in very nicely as well. And they are, like we said earlier, it looks like they're going to get João Pedro in for another attacking option. So things are looking bright for Newcastle, as expected. Yeah, it's a great signing for me. Same with Brighton. I mean, they've started with 7 points from 3 games. Graham Potter really is he's just phenomenal, isn't he? Absolutely phenomenal. And
he's the man I want.
Yeah, honestly, they just lost Cucurella and
Basuma.
And
they look even better.
The thing is, they're still lacking that proper unbelievable 9, not to jump to XG even, but against Newcastle they created 1.55 compared to a very low amount, and that's often the case and has been in previous years too, and they just lack that one amazing goal scorer. But the way Potter does things, just amazing. Also, just as well, before we move on from Newcastle, I think St. Maximin needs to be drug tested after that game, because I've never seen honestly, I know
it's a cliche, but when people say players on their day, he is one of the best on their day players probably ever.
I mean, if he could keep that form every week, he'd be absolutely phenomenal.
St. James's, I know their record last season was so good, but it's turning into a complete fortress, really.
Scary place to go.
There's so many stadiums like
Bruno,
that. You have a massive fan base which gets behind a team to a ridiculous level every single week. It does give you a massive edge. And we spoke about Brighton many times. I think Newcastle. Nottingham Forest is going to be another one, again, massive this season. Same with Crystal Palace. When you've got such good support, it does gel you on a lot. And, the atmosphere sounded brilliant at St. James's Park. And it's a ground I want to tick off in the future because it looks fantastic. But yeah, another team that have started brilliantly, and this is going to lead us on to another topic, is Leeds. And Matt, you'll be smiling over this one as you tip them to do well this season and me tipping them to be relegated. I'm not going to go massively reactionary. They have impressed me. I did say on the preview show that if their signings do gel, I think they'll do well this year, and so far they have gelled. I think Brendan Aronson's looked brilliant, but the star of the show has really been Rodrigo. He's been banging him at the start of the season, but a Sunday afternoon kickoff at Ellen Road, another stadium which is just fantastic, and their fans get behind them every week, and it's such a tough place to go. Blew away this Chelsea side that on the whole have started pretty poorly. I mean, they played well against Spurs but ended up throwing that away, but their other 2 performances have been very, very under par, and Leeds absolutely dominated them. So before we talk about Chelsea, Matt, I'll come to you. Obviously, you deserve to take the plaudits for this one. Leeds have been brilliant. So what did you make of them on Sunday afternoon?
I thought they did everything really which not you'd expect to come to Ellen Road, previously and have to play against, but that's exactly how it is. No away game in the Premier League is easy. This is incredibly hard going to a place like Ellen Road. The way Leeds are fixed up as well, I get, people really jump at the selling of Rafinha and the selling of Calvin Phillips because 2 huge players, but ultimately it can benefit a club too. Obviously Everton we're not going to speak about, but if they sell Gordon for 70 odd million and Richarlison for 50, 60, that's crazy money if they reinvest it well, which they have a history of doing so, then, it could be great for them. But on Leeds themselves, I mean, you mentioned Rodrigo. The fact he's the first ever player in Prem history to score in his opening 3 is insane. Playing as a 9 as well, replacing Bamford, who, made of glass, sadly. Hopefully he'll be back. I don't know how long his injury's out, if it was just temporary or what. But another player who absolutely no surprise that Dan Ashmore, I can't remember his name, is going after is Jack Harrison. That guy is just absolutely sensational. The press, the turn for I can't remember what it was just one of the turns. His all-round play, his directness, his finishing, his end product. He's just such a good player. I really, really like him. And City sold him for absolute peanuts too. What an absolute bargain that was. And as you mentioned, Aronson, I mean, I have zero clue what Mendy's thinking for the first goal. The last thing you want to do when, no disrespect to Mendy, you don't really have that, in your footwork type of thing with Leeds pressing you the whole time, they're hunting you down. And I think the main difference though is with Leeds is, although they can still be a bit susceptible to transitions, you watch that Leeds team and you think, wow, they have 2 players now who are guarding that back 4. They're allowing the Harrison, the Rodrigo, the Aronson and one other to thrive. And that's Mark Rocker, who's been absolutely sensational since coming to Yorkshire, and Tyler Adams, who I'm a big fan of too. And I think those 2 have just been so integral really to Leeds, because I think ultimately as well why I put Leeds as high as I did, and they could maybe even finish higher, who knows, I'm going to go overboard, and it's obviously early days too. But the main thing is with Leeds is they were as low as they were because with Bielsa it just turned into a disaster. It was very stubborn, the players not signing players when they desperately needed them. You had Patrick Bamford out the whole season, their focal 9, the way they play. You had Calvin Phillips out for large parts of the season. Once again, absolutely integral to the way they play. Those 2 out, irrespective of having Cooper out for points, Ayling out for points, a bunch of players out, and genuinely 0 defensive protection. And anytime you play any half decent side, you get absolutely pipped. That for me is the biggest difference, with the 2 6s they've recruited. And I think generally their recruitment with Sinistera to come into the team too is an incredibly exciting prospect. And I think people have wrote off Marsh, or maybe haven't written them off to be fair, but have gone a bit too much into Marsh. He took over a massive mess, and obviously people talk about domino effects, but that goal on the last day of the season for Jack Harrison against Brentford is absolutely massive, and really will I think go to show what Marsh can do, and when he's given the backing, when he's given his players, when he's got the support. And I think Leeds will have a brilliant season, and that was a mightily impressive performance from Leeds against a very, very, very disappointing Chelsea team.
Yeah, I mean, we'll move on to Chelsea now, but I think the main crazy thing about Marsh is the treatment from his own supporters, in a sense. It was like they were so, behind Bielsa, which I understand because he was an absolute cult hero of Leeds. But if everybody else could see he had to go, so, when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer got sacked, I was gutted because he's a club legend, but I knew it was the right thing to do. And I wasn't going to hate on the next manager because of it. But a lot of Leeds fans seem to just didn't like Marsh from the off, but he's proven every single one of them wrong, and I'm glad. And that fan base doesn't deserve him, to be quite honest. I'm glad he's doing well because he's the only thing I like about that club. On to Chelsea, who were horrendous, to put it nicely. And again, like I said, in the first game against Everton, they looked poor. Second game against Tottenham, they were brilliant, but then couldn't get the win over the line. And now they've been hammered by Leeds. It is a very, very poor start, and maybe their squad is not quite what it's cut out to be. I mean, I don't really know where to start with
attackers.
Chelsea.
You start.
It's all system. It's all in the system. Like, you can individually highlight attackers, but that system's just absolutely shocking.
Well, the midfield on Sunday.
But Havertz, mate, can't start Havertz up front, and you're gonna.
The
move
thing is, with someone like Havertz, though, is if you're going to play him, you need to play to his advantage. You can't
What's the
play him
ways,
as that. Pardon?
Does anyone know what that is yet?
Mate, I'm trying to figure out what his game is.
He hasn't helped himself either. Don't get it twisted. But he's far more of a second striker type, not a single lone 9. Like, he's good.
You're such a football romantic, aren't you? You're such a purist. I'm by the book. He's not good at football.
There's no. The thing is, this second striker position, like, not many teams has got.
Is that a one
room
striker
for that. No, but
He'd often play as like a right forward and stuff for Leverkusen.
He's a second striker for a team without a striker.
I just think everything about the way Chelsea profile players is just so wrong. Like Gallagher in a pivot, don't let that guy have the football.
Gallagher and Jorginho pivot. I know they have.
Gallagher was
Gallagher was dreadful, but I'm
not sure about that.
He was bad, in my opinion. Like, the way he got dispossessed so many times, he couldn't. He was stumbling, trying to dribble. Couldn't put a pass off. Like, he wasn't good. But I agree at that point where that's the system, because that's not, he shouldn't be playing in the pivot. I feel like Tuchel's system is confusing. I can't really describe it to be honest. But where my problems lie with Chelsea is the attacking, not the defensive, because they got good players in defence.
I think they'll figure it out.
And for me, like, you just can't start Havertz.
But there's just
what's Aubameyang going to do instead, though? Because the whole thing.
Yeah, that's pretty mad to me. I just
players like Aubameyang. They need players to create for them. They're not ones to create their own chances. So someone like Ivan Toney honestly, like put whatever money you're
Yeah,
putting on Anthony Gordon a
yeah.
bit less and put it on Ivan Toney, because
Ivan
he is
Toney,
the
yeah.
no-brainer. Get like, I mean, Zaha maybe because Sterling play off the right, but I think Zaha, another, by the way, we'll speak about him later. I don't know how he's not been picked up, but I just think Chelsea's recruitment is really baffling too.
Yeah,
I think no. I feel like they've had more misses in recent history than Man United, like bad misses.
100%. They spent 40 million
Two
on
hideous
Drinkwater.
twins.
That's saying something.
Two hideous twins.
I just want to say though, they because of the model they've gone through over the last 10 years or so of chopping and changing managers, it's always been a case of, new manager comes in. It's been the same with us, and he's got 4 or 5 new different managers worth of players. But I just don't feel like there's a plan with Chelsea at the minute. I mean, they've just got 2 loanees back, right, in Brozier and Gallagher, who had good seasons in the Premier League last year. And it's sort of like they're just they don't really know what to do with them. They don't know whether to play them, don't know whether to loan them, don't know whether to sell them. There's no plan with that club at the minute.
Can I just chime in there as well? Like, I don't think this was a Tuchel signing. I understand they're under different management now, but since Tuchel's been there, they've spent £100 million on a striker who's now no longer there. Like, so what's the plan?
They can't get the best out of attackers or players. It's as simple as that. That's why
that's got to be a Tuchel. That's got to be a Tuchel system.
That's definitely on him. That's definitely his system.
But I do believe it's a
winnable.
I do believe it's as it's shown, it is a winnable formula. 100%.
Can I just ask as well, why are you putting honestly one of the best fullbacks I've seen in recent years as a centre back?
That's
but they've literally got Aspie on the bench
to play Loftus Cheek.
Yeah, they've got Aspie on the bench, who is way past it, and he's not the best. But like, surely it makes sense to just play him in his natural position, then let Reece James go forward. But it's the loanees that just get me there, because they're getting, because of the loan system they've got, which I'm not saying is a bad thing if you utilise it properly, but every single year they've got a couple of players that come back off loan and are like, ready to play first team football. And you had 3 this year: Colwill, Brozier, and Gallagher, and they're just winging it with all 3 of them. Like, there's no plan. They were like, we're going to keep Colwill. Then they got a decent offer and they're going to sell him. Next minute they're loaning him. Brozier they want to loan, but then some people are saying they want to play him because they've got no strikers. Gallagher just isn't going to work in that system, but they're trying to play him in there. He's not been linked away, so he's probably going to end up rotting on the bench. Like, there's just no plan for any of these players, and I don't think
they just scream losing money on them in a year or two.
Is it just me as well, or is it not really worrying that they don't seem to think midfield is a really important area to address?
I know the feeling.
It's so important for that. I think it's the most important thing. Obviously, they put themselves in a bad situation with centre backs and offensively too. But I think with that midfield, they've got Kante, who's not on his last legs per se, because he put in that brilliant performance earlier on in the season. And, we know he's a fantastic player regardless, but he is on his last legs in terms of injuries and stuff. Not quite on his last legs in terms of retirement, just injuries, Being a consistent starter, you can't exactly rely on that. Jorginho's just I feel like system built is just not.
Jorginho's so good, but every time they get battered, Jorginho's there.
Yeah, that's true.
I can't.
But that's what separates him from a good midfielder to a world class midfielder.
Yeah.
You need the system to be perfect.
They need Kovacic back.
Kovacic is massive for them. He's like,
But like, they just lack that like 6 profile so massively. Like, it's baffling to me.
Yeah.
I felt like Cucurella and Sterling were still bright.
They're
both going to be. I mean, the money spent for Cucurella is ridiculous. However, he's still a brilliant player, and Sterling will come good. I've seen enough from Sterling already to say that.
Even the goal that got ruled out was like sublime.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's at least.
Chelsea will figure it out.
They need another Sterling in that attack.
They always do figure out, no matter how poor we think they are, they'll probably get it together and get in the top 4. So we just see. It's just so hard to even comment on that club, to be honest. They're just like built different in so
quickly on Chelsea before we go. Who's going to be their top goal scorer this season in the league?
It's got to be Sterling.
Koulibaly.
Reece James.
I'm going to go with James.
Yeah,
I'll say Sterling.
Yeah, it's probably Sterling.
Sterling, actually, yeah.
I just want to quickly wrap up the rest of the action. Arsenal won 3-0 at Bournemouth. Only team with a perfect record. Matt, we haven't got much time to talk about it, but the fact you've won a game and we haven't really got anything to talk about is probably a good thing. Like, Arsenal it is a good thing though, because Arsenal come with drama. It's like us at the minute, usually come with drama. To go to Bournemouth, not necessarily a tough place to go, but any away game is tough. Do the job, leave with the 3 points, continue the perfect record. Odegaard and Saliba, goal scorers, standout performers. What more could you say? We haven't got too much time to talk about it, but I don't know if there's anything you want to say desperately.
I'm sure there's something.
Just a sensational chant, really. Hopefully, your ears weren't tired after about 50 minutes of listening to it. But I'll give like the very, very, very brief. I mean, it was just Jesus, just honestly in awe of him. Like that first goal, I have no words. Saliba's first, like his strike was crazy. And one thing we've been asking for Odegaard too is exactly what he did. Just be more aggressive, shoot more. Because if you watch Odegaard, he's so intricate and it drives me insane sometimes. I love the guy so much. And I think the guy is so good. But he gets into those areas and he's trying to find that intricate pass. He's not aggressive. He's trying to take that extra touch. He needs to just get that ball out there. He's a good shooter too. And he's scored quite a few goals already for us, but he just does not shoot enough. And I thought that was a really good sign against Bournemouth. And, it shows also more confidence too. And yeah, not too much else. Xhaka as well. All I'm saying, if you have him in your FPL teams, then fair play,
I saw something on Granit Xhaka earlier. For the past five seasons, he's finished on 1 goal and 2 assists in the Premier League. So he's either in for the season of his life or he's not going to get another direct goal contribution again. So make of that what you will.
I love a new stat like that.
I just very quickly as well, like with the whole rotation about us, I'll just explain very quickly as well, like what I love so much, and then we'll move on. I just love the rotation about. I think Xhaka is integral to that too. Read about it earlier, but Xhaka goes to like left back, Zinchenko can go to the middle. Because Xhaka, like in the past, he's gone, sat in the 3 a lot of the time when we played in the pivot. He's played in the pivot as well alongside someone else. But yeah, he's also played, as an 8 so much as well now. So since end of last season and second half of last season and start of this season. And I genuinely think he's so much better than people think. Like how integral he is. He's getting his own chant as well. So again,
I don't get the people who don't rate Xhaka. I feel like that's one of them like football liars tests or whatever. Like he's so good.
Tell me, he's turned into like a Gundogan regen as well. Like he's making these runs in the box, and he's
another one quickly. Gundogan has 50 Premier League goals.
No, he does not.
He does.
50. I'm not that surprised.
Or 50 Man City goals.
Yeah, it's probably
season where he was.
Do you know sorry, I know I talk about Arsenal. That came up the other day. 50. You tell me the last Liverpool midfielder to score 50. Did Coutinho even have 50?
Yeah, it's 50, 51 Man City goals. Very impressive.
For a player that gets swept under the carpet that much. Sublime.
He's a crazy footballer. It's all right. And I'll just say 2 more things as well. Zinchenko just superb. I mean, he's just so composed in possession. Like just an unbelievable signing. And another thing as well, 2 more things actually. I'll first get onto the Arsenal perspective. Get Pedro Neto at my club because I can't not. After Ornstein said he's our like top target, we've been speaking for a month, and hopefully Mendes can work his magic, which I have some sort of faith he will. Some I'll have to wait and see with that, but I'm intrigued. I'm excited because it probably either means that we got told, got completely outpriced and we'll move on and media's way behind, or it's further in than we think and the media's behind either way.
You've got too many players. You've got too many players, man.
Really?
Yeah, 100%. I don't even know what squad depth is.
Saka is 21 years of age. He's played 100 times.
Yeah, that's
he's good.
Yeah, but you like this poor guy. I don't want him getting burnt out. And then the final thing as well. It's a bit of a theme in other games, right? I'm pretty sure they're just guessing at this point. Like Tony's goal, like so narrowly offside. Jesus' goal, toenail offside. Rashford's goal onside, and then the other one I think was given off, I can't remember. They just look so toenail-esque. I don't know how they decide. Like it just drives me nuts. I don't
even care about the Rashford one. I was kind of glad. Bit of a wake-up call.
But the only thing I would say is it is literally technology just doing that. Like, it's not really subjective.
I think it's just going against. I think it's just going against what like offside rule was. It's to stop goal hangers, and it feels like any slight tiny movement just from leaning forward.
Jesus didn't have the advantage over a defender, did he? And that's what it's supposed to be. But yeah, I mean, Referees is a topic I really don't like talking about, in fairness. So if we could
But-
avoid it at all costs, that'd be
Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, great win for us. And Fulham next, nothing really more to add. I mean, I'm just incredibly happy with our start. And honestly, as a fan, you just got to continue enjoying it. You know, if we're going to lose at some point, don't regret that or whatever. That will happen. Just enjoy it. See if we can take a big opportunity with other teams potentially underperforming this season and see how high we can finish. So
Yeah, I'm telling you now, Mitrovic has something cooking for you.
talking.
Matt's giving up motivational speeches. Like just enjoy the wins. We might lose 3 games into the season. Bruv, you're excited. I'm happy for you.
No, I appreciate it, bro.
No, that's a
it's
good point though. Like, too many people are bothered about what might go wrong. Just enjoy it while it lasts. You're going to get cooked on the timeline when you lose. You're going to have to deal with that. Like,
just who cares? Like, we lose. You're going to lose. We're not going to do invincible. Like, it's not going to happen. We'll lose at some point. That's that. Like, we'll have an off day. This is a human team. Like, hopefully the run goes for as long as possible. But
you don't believe that you're going to win the league.
Yes, but on 38 wins in a row. You know what? All I'm saying, win the last 35 games. No one can catch us. So, you know,
Look.
35 points.
I honestly respect it at this point. Nah, but just want to round up the other couple of games quickly. Obviously, we touched on Everton and Forest. It's a decent result for Forest. They've started well. Everton, I'd be concerned if I was an Everton fan. Crystal Palace beat Villa. As for that, like you said earlier, Wilf Zaha is just phenomenal. A mid-table Premier League legend for sure. Will he ever get his big move? I don't know, but he's been phenomenal for Palace. I can see why their fans absolutely adore him. As for Villa, as expected, they're not very good at all. Gerrard's going to be on borrowed time. They're a really overrated side, and that's all there is to say. We called it.
No, he has a worse percentage than Gary Neville.
Yeah, that is pretty funny.
Oh my! And if they lose their next 2 or something like that, he'll have like one of the worst percentage of like anything. So I can't remember.
Yeah, we're talking like Bob Bradley territory at this rate. Like, yeah, Villa. We've spoke about his death. They're not very good. I'm happy to be proved wrong, but not for me. Fulham, Brentford, 2 sides that start the season well. The main takeaway from this game is just Mitrovic and Tony are they're going to be class this season, both of them, I think. 10 to 15 goals each at least, you know. And I don't know if you guys saw the Mitrovic interview. And
yeah.
A few guys who didn't hear. So when Tony scored, he copied Mitrovic's celebration, which is like cupping his ear like that. If you're watching on video, and then Mitrovic obviously ended up scoring the winning goal, which was obviously very sweet for him. And then he did an interview. I think it was The Athletic. He was talking about when they were both at Newcastle. And Mitrovic is a couple of years older than Tony. So Mitrovic was like a first-team player at Newcastle. And then Tony was like a youth player. And he came out and said, I'm not surprised he copied my celebration because I was idolising Shearer and Tony was idolising me.
Yeah.
That was like brilliant. And like
Mitrovic was awful. Mitrovic was awful at Newcastle.
Yeah, but I just respect the
Yeah.
To be fair, the way he's playing at the minute, obviously missing the penalty at Wolves was a bit of a dampener, but he started the season brilliantly and I'm delighted for him.
We're getting mid-table storyline, so this is gonna be a fantastic season.
And
3 p.m. game while Everton, who was it? It was 12:30 Spurs Wolves.
Yeah.
But like 3-2. What a game on 3
Fulham
p.m.
have been brilliant. I mean, fair play. We all predicted them to go down, I think, but they've started well. Long may it continue. We'll see. They look much better this year.
They've taken a great approach though with things. I feel like we put them down because it's like, who else is going to go down instead? You know, like not like oh they're awful type thing. Just don't quite think, or at least in my case, I feel that. But I've been mightily impressed.
Yeah, 100%. And then finally, Southampton got a big 3 points away at Leicester. Struggling Leicester, we've already spoke about. Che Adams with both the goals. For me, it's imperative they keep hold of him. I know a lot of their
2 against tonight.
Oh, yeah, 2 against tonight was it in the cup. Yeah, he started the season well, and it's imperative they keep hold of him. And like we said,
a great player.
We spoke about being worried about them, but then they pull a result out of the bag. It's just what they seem to do all the time. And 4 from the first 3, considering their fixtures haven't been the easiest to start the season, pretty good. Obviously, draw against Leeds from being 2-0 down. They lost to Spurs, but then beat who was it? Beat Leicester this weekend. Sorry, I'm lost.
Beating United this weekend too.
Yeah, most
7 out of 4. Don't worry, Southampton fans.
Shea Adams hat-trick. Come on.
Yeah, most likely. But that's it for the Prem. Just want to round up Europe quickly as well. Bayern have scored 13 away goals in 2 matches so far.
Can I just say, right? I didn't believe, so I had to look it up, and it's absolutely crazy. I don't think I can't remember the last time I've ever watched a Bayern Munich game, like Bundesliga game.
What's the point?
Like, what's the point?
They're not actually televised. They just make up the scores at this point.
Who would know?
Bayern a 7-0 win.
8-0 Bayern. They ain't played today. They're training, but
no, 7-0 and 6-1 in their opening away games is taking a mick.
Frankfurt too, no?
But
one of them was Frankfurt.
Yeah.
Good side. They just won Europa League.
I mean,
Nice.
elsewhere in the Bundesliga, Dortmund bottled a 2-0 lead they were 2-0 up in the 89th minute. They lost the game 3-2. Oliver Burke scoring the winning goal of all people for Werder Bremen. That is just phenomenal. I can imagine their away end was absolutely bouncing after that. Could you imagine 3 goals in 6 minutes against Dortmund? Brilliant. But the league's done already. Bayern are going to absolutely romp it.
Wait for Leverkusen. All I'm saying,
it's the most boring league in the world.
all I'm saying, wait for Leverkusen versus DRB, Hudson Odoi and shit. That's
actually getting Hudson Odoi.
Yeah, get them on loan.
Seems very,
That's
which is a
great
brilliant.
goal to anything,
That's a
really.
nice signing. Maybe they'll be the team to, or I don't want to say challenge, but get as close to Bayern as possible.
They've got a great team, to be fair, but not to talk too much about them.
By the closest to Bayern, do you mean like 36 points behind Bayern?
Yeah, literally.
Very
maybe Bayern will win every game this season.
I think they'll go invincible this year, you know.
Yeah, it would be Bayern. They always.
I'm not even joking.
I swear they lose like 4-0 away to a mid-table side every year, though.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Like,
They're playing Werder Bremen and losing like 5-0.
That league ain't real.
yeah, it's quite funny. Elsewhere, Barca and Madrid both scored 4 goals away from home against Celta and Sociedad. You know, good. Barcelona dropped points on the opening day, but they've come back well to win that game. Madrid look good again. I mean, they've just lost Casemiro to United. It's not going to affect them at all. They're in a much better position than they were 3 or 4 years ago. And
Tchouaméni is probably the best player on the pitch.
yeah, literally, fair play to Ancelotti. He's done brilliant since he last come in. At an appointment which I did doubt a little bit after his underwhelming spell at Everton, but I think that's just an Everton problem, not a Carlo Ancelotti problem, as we've seen since he left. Elsewhere, PSG also got a heavy win on the road. We spoke about them last time, but that front three really is starting to click, and it is scary. I mean, it's not even like they're playing any mugs. I mean, Lille won the league 2 years ago, and they've held 7 at home to PSG.
If you want to enjoy 90 minutes of your life, watch PSG play football now.
Yeah,
it was beautiful. I watched the game, and you know what? Lille were actually playing good football as well. It's not like they just gave up. They actually created chances right into the end, but honestly, on the counter attack, Neymar was just. Oh,
Isn't
I
it
love the
11
fact Messi as
goals
well.
Tay, mate, Tay, wake up, Neymar, wake
I
up.
love the fact Messi isn't like not taking the main role per se, but he's more or less like allowing Mbappe and Neymar to be.
But the Lille defenders were tired from their 9 to 5. They played late kickoff. So
Hasn't Neymar got like
11 in 3 goal contributions? It's a joke. PSG look good this year, but when they're playing, someone away in February in the last 16, we'll see how they get on there, I suppose.
well, Neymar will be off already, so
Yeah, fair point.
Neymar hat-trick in that. All I'm saying,
they are
Neymar hat-trick
looking-
Champions League final.
They are looking very good this year, and we'll have to see how they get on.
but they'll throw it away again.
Well, yeah, I'll believe.
I don't
I
know if they'll win it
I
or
hope they
not,
don't.
but I
I
don't
hope
see it at all.
I hope they don't. I feel like this is Messi's year, and I need that. I need that in my life, but at the cost of a Neymar.
They're just such a likable.
I've won, but at what cost?
That's the best use of that saying ever. But yeah,
Yeah, I know.
that is all we have got time for today. I feel like we've crammed a lot in there today, so I hope you enjoyed it. Tay, I hope you're a bit happier next week. I mean, that is one of the best.
Who've even got Bournemouth?
I mean, you haven't got a bad game to bounce back. Bournemouth.
Bournemouth at home. Okay, there's you got your band.
But
Right,
really,
Right. Can I
was
just
just
say
say-
quickly about Liverpool's atmosphere?
Yeah,
It's one of the
I said
worst.
this.
It's such Fugazi. Like obviously I was like all the way over the other side of the pitch, but I didn't hear you guys once, and that's
No, let me say this to you quickly. I'm sorry, I know we're trying to wrap up. I've got work in about 6 hours, so just briefly, I didn't mention it earlier, but it bugs me so much when people complain about tourists coming to the game and making no noise and having a day out. But you're away fans at a Liverpool Man United game, and I did not hear a decibel all night. The fans are more embarrassing than the players yesterday, and that's saying a lot. So I don't know if you any match day listening to this, sort yourself out, because I don't go to the games. I'm not going to sit and tell you what to do, but don't hold yourself to such high esteem and go there and be absolutely dreadful. Like worst fans in the league in a minute, and this is a league with Bournemouth and Fulham in. So make of that what you will.
That's right. If you up the Glazers chant, what an equalising goal that is for Liverpool. Yeah, that is a good point. But yeah, I mean, if you do lose to Bournemouth at home, we might see an all-timer rant from Tay on next episode. But
I don't think he'll turn up. He'll just say he was tired or fell asleep.
I'm not selling any FPL Liverpool assets. I can assure you that. But yeah,
Oh, that's a good point actually.
Pleasure to speak to you guys as always. Thank you for listening, everybody. It has been a late one today, so I mean we do appreciate all the support we're getting on these, and we will continue recording them for as long as you guys do tune in. So finally, social media as always. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can at TM4Pod, and you can find all our other links in there to all other social medias. Obviously, main episodes on Spotify and YouTube and all the other platforms have shorter clips if that's your thing. But yeah, that's about all we've got time for. Thank you very much for listening. Have a good week and weekend, and we'll see you next week.